Bueno, que lo que mi gente? Welcome to my universe. Welcome back to my universe. Welcome to another episode of the Things I Never Said podcast. This is Starlini speaking, and for this one, it's pretty simple. I want to share a quote that I've had to remind myself of for years. Okay, especially before I became an emancipated minor, but even when I was still living with my biological parents, I think the quote the meaning of the quote had to be applied to my life before I had even known the quote. I don't know if I can make that make sense, but I'll try. But the quote is rejection is for your protection. I believe that the original quote comes from the Bible or something like that. And the quote is something like rejection is God's protection and results in redirection. If it doesn't come from the Bible, I'm sorry. It's still true. It still resonates with me and so many people because it's absolutamente la verdad, okay? Rejection is for your protection. That is why I'm not ever upset when things do not work out the way that I wanted them to, or if things do not happen the way that I hoped they would, because I recognize that it just means that it wasn't meant for me. That's all. And it's hard to accept when you are younger and inexperienced and you lack wisdom to understand how you are being rerouted for better reasons and purposes that you may not be able to recognize until later. When you have the ability to look back on your life and self-reflect or just analyze your hindsight and see that you were not going to prevail if you kept going down that direction, or if you started to embark down that road or that path, things would have not turned out too well for you. Maybe there were people that you were meant to reject. Maybe there were people that you were not going to be in a healthy situation with. Maybe there were circumstances that were not going to be great for you mentally or spiritually or emotionally. Maybe someone had bad intentions for you. Maybe had you stayed in that neighborhood, you would have gotten shot. You would have gotten robbed a few times, or your children would have faced far worse circumstances than you were already facing in that predicament. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right? But I just recognize that when something doesn't work out, is for the better. It means that God or the universe, whether you're religious or spiritual, has something better or something different planned for you. Maybe the job that you think you should have is not the job that's going to teach you the skills that you need in order to actualize the vision you have for yourself, okay? Like maybe you think you should have that job. Maybe you think you should live in that neighborhood. Maybe you think you should have that person as a friend, but that person and that job or that neighborhood may be so toxic for you. I mean, like I said, the possibilities are endless. But when you face rejection from someone, it's nothing to cry over. You can cry if you want to, but I personally do not find myself shedding a tear. I personally get over it pretty quickly. I'll feel disappointment for a good 2.5 seconds, maybe a good 2.5 minutes sometimes. But after that, I can get over it. I recognize that I have heard no so many times in my life. I mean, starting from when I was a child, I knew at a very young age not to ask for nothing. I knew not to ask for anything that I wanted. I knew not to expect anything because of how often I heard, no, we don't have it. No, 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 you can't have it. No, you can't go. I remember being a kid and finally getting the courage to ask my father one time if I could go to the mall. And he said, for what? And I said, because I want to be with my friends. He said, what friends? We don't have friends. Because, some Caribbean people are just kind of like, you go to school, you go to church, and then you come home. And that's that. Even if you don't go to church, it's just you go to school and you come home, and that's that. Okay? If they don't know your friends, if they don't know your friends' parents, it's a hell nah. You're not going anywhere. Even if they know the parents, it's a hell nah. You're not going anywhere. And that used to frustrate me so much. But when it came to the situation about the mall, I I specifically remember this moment because my father just forced me to think about it. He was like, "Why do you want to go to the mall?" I said, "I want to be with my friends." He said, "Okay, and what you going to do at the mall with your friends?" I said, "Oh, we're going to talk and we're going to walk around and look at the stuff." He said, "Why do you want to look at stuff you can't have? Why do you want to look at stuff you're not going to buy?" And I couldn't stand that he was forcing me to think about this shit. I was like, why are we playing 21 questions? I just want to go to the mall. Like, I was so irritated with him, especially as a little girl. I think I was maybe in middle school, maybe in the 6th or the 7th grade. I was really, really small. I mean, in the 7th and the 8th grade, you're like 12 and 13 years young. That's no place for your children to be going by themselves, in my humble opinion, especially given all the weirdos, pedos, and crazy demons out here. Like, that's no place for your children to be going with just themselves, in my humble opinion. But even if he were to go with me, even if an adult were to go with me, he's right. I didn't have any money. He wasn't going to give me any money. I was too young to work. So he made me think about it. Why do you want to go look at stuff you can't have? So to this day, I don't envy things. I care more about shelter, okay? I care more about actualizing my visions than I care about some name brand anything. I will wear the same clothes for years. I don't care. I really don't care. Because at a young age, facing that rejection of not being able to, or not being allowed to entertain materialism, stripped me away from any desire to surround myself with things. You surround yourself with things when you feel empty on the inside. You can go to the store and see products you already have on your shelves in your home. But when you're bored, you'll go to the store and you'll buy those things anyway. When you're feeling like you need some therapy, but you don't actually want to do the therapy, you'll go to the store and you'll shop. It's called retail therapy. And you're not resolving any of your issues. All you're doing is swiping your card. And it's toxic if you think about it. It's a waste. I understand sometimes you want something just because it's pretty or whatever, but again, I learned to cater more towards the things that I will actually be able to use to better my life. He helped me adjust my focus by making me think about it. And like I said, to this day, I do not obsess over things. If I already have something, I'm not going to buy something else. If I know I can make it at home, I'll just do that. And it could be as simple as a deep conditioner, okay? It could be something more complex like making an outfit. If I can do it myself, I will. That's part of how I became so self-reliant. And that's how I was able to save my money, okay? And invest into other things, or just invest into my visions for myself. Not every form of rejection that you face is meant to make you feel bad about yourself. That dude who rejects you, that dude who tells you, "Oh, you're ugly," when you guys are children, he's going to grow up and he's going to be so ugly, trust me. Ugly on the inside especially. So you're dodging a bullet when you don't entertain him. When you are facing rejection, it is just a sign from the universe that something better is out there for you. And if you just trust that, if you're not desperate for validation from external things or from people, then the right people and the right things, the right opportunities, the right circumstances, come on, will come to you in due time. I really do believe that because I've seen that in my own life. But you can't be so eager to force things onto yourself. You can't force people to like you or to see value in you. You can't force yourself into a job that you were rejected from. You can't force yourself into a neighborhood you're being excluded from. If you're being excluded during the application process, that most likely means you're going to be excluded by people in the community once you go live there. Listen to that rejection. Listen to it and allow yourself to be redirected. What I learned, and I remember I talked to this Uber driver that I had about this. I told him I learned a while ago that when it comes to this life, oftentimes when it comes to the decisions you want to make for yourself, not the shit you choose to do to other people, but when it comes to the things you want to do for yourself, oftentimes it's not a matter of right and wrong. It's a matter of what you want to do to progress. And it's a matter of whether or not you're willing to accept that things may work out in your favor or they may not. As long as you can accept that and reroute yourself when it's time to, then you will continue to thrive and you will continue to learn from your circumstances, because even if it doesn't work out in your favor, you now know a little bit more about the process than you would have before you ever went for it. You know? I mean, and then that could be applied to the most complex things or the most simple things. Here's a simple example. Say you're on a road trip and you drive to a place, right? And you hear that the place is open from this amount of time in the morning until this amount of time in the night. But then you go there and you find out on this particular day that they close early. Yeah, it may suck that you didn't get to have the experience that you wanted to have, but at least now you know. If you had never embarked on the journey, you wouldn't have seen the things that you saw. You wouldn't have met the people that you saw. Maybe you wouldn't have learned about that situation. So now when somebody, my bad, I just got a call. I don't even know where I just got. But yeah, when you may not have seen the things that you ended up seeing, you may not have met the people that you ended up meeting, and also you would have the knowledge so that next time you are better equipped for the journey. Or even when somebody asks you, hey, you know, I'm thinking of going to such and such, what do you know about the place? You can tell them, oh yeah, girl, they're open, you know, from this time to this time, but if you go on Thursdays, they close. You know, that's such a small example of how facing rejection still comes with a lesson. It still offers you knowledge, you know, and sometimes it's good for your confidence as well. Sometimes hearing no makes you stronger. It makes you less butthurt the next time someone says no to you. I mean, think of how many times you go into an establishment, you ask a question like, do you guys have that, 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 that? And they're like, no. And you're like, okay, thanks, have a good one. Because you know how many times you've heard no? It's not going to hurt your feelings. It's not going to crush your dreams. It's not going to ruin your day. Except for when you're that person who has heard yes all your life. And then someone finally tells you no. Maybe you're used to getting every guy. Maybe every person has accepted you, no matter how toxic you are, no matter how much evolving you need to do. And then the one person who sees right through you is like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. And you go bananas. You get crazy. You start talking wild, talking crazy, because you can't face that rejection. You don't want to be 50 years old, unable to face the rejection. You want to be able to accept that and move on. Like I said, as long as you're willing to reroute, you will be more than okay. You will still prevail. You will still thrive, because it's not going to be the end of the world for you. So if you are in the process of applying for something, or you're waiting for an answer and the answer that you receive is no, just recognize that it's okay. It just means that you need to try something else, try something different, adjust your focus to something else. That's all it means. But don't give up. Don't lose your faith. Remember to have trust in the process, have faith in yourself, and have hope for the journey. and you're going to be more than okay. At least that's what I believe and that's what I've seen. But on that note, I would say thank you so much for listening. Tata mi amores. Take care.